Good morning. All right. Sorry, just getting things ready. Okay, welcome everyone. Obviously, we've got the chat over on the right-hand side. We do have, I think, Victoria and Jason watching that chat, but if we don't get to questions, we'll send out a bulk email later on trying to answer those questions. So yeah, welcome to version 8. So let's go through all the different changes. Now, first thing down the bottom, we've got the build number and date area with a green tick. The green tick on the date, just checking the license is valid. And then on the left-hand side of your build number, you've got whether you're on the latest build from a Credo. It will turn a yellow tick if there's a new version out there, and then a red one just means you don't have internet connection. So and all right, I'm just going to go through to the customer list. They've got this new grid filter on here. Now the biggest thing with it is auto select. If you turn that on, then this new grid filter will work. So you can right click on any of these now and go add to filter, and it will just automatically filter that grid, and then you can go and filter another area of it, opposed to having to come into the little filter button over here and build up the filter. If I right click up on the top section, you can go clear all filters. If you do want to do a complex filter, you can right click on the heading and go add biome group to filter. Biome group's a category 1, and then you can come in and do the normal F12, select 1, comma, select your secondary 1 and go save. And then you can then right click clear filters. If we just do that again, so if I click on the bronze, add to filter, and then add Auckland to a filter here, we can then right click on any one of these and clear the individual filters. So I'm going to clear the bronze, I can go clear the biome group filter, and it's just cleared that one off. Okay, so it's just a little added of the quick filter options in here. If I jump over to the invoice list, because it's a little bit easier to demonstrate this one on the invoice list, again, got auto select filtered on. So at the moment, you've got all the different total amounts here. And if we wanted to total that up, they've added this new button over here on the left-hand side, calculate totals, and that will add a nice little total down the bottom. If you've got other fields that it's not totaling for, you can use the grid customization down over here. So click on the grid customization. You can bring in another amount, and then you've just got to make sure, to make it visible, you've just got to make sure the total checkbox here is checked for it to work. I'll just bring through a few more. Well, I can go apply and save, or just apply for once off. Obviously, there's no amounts there. Another little small one is when you're typing in your password, you have a little show what your password you're typing in at the time was. If you've got multiple tabs open, when you right click on them, they've got close other tabs, just a small little handy added in here, which you click on that, everything else closes and you're left with the one window. To point as well, if you've got multiple monitors, this is already in the existing version, but you can go to move to new window, just if you've got multiple monitors and you want to drag that off to another monitor. So it's just right click, move to main menu, and right click, move to new window. Something more in the back end, we've got, you you've got your modified created date and time down the bottom. They've just done some back-end improvements on there. So that will allow for, if people working in 2 different time zones, for it to be actually reported accurately. Before it was just using the computer date time instead of doing a date time change for time zones. That is, sorry, just to point out, it's the date time down here. Okay, so to customers and creditors as well, you have a new trading name field. Note that you will need to probably update document designs to take advantage of this new field. It's the same on the company details. You've got trading name down here as well. So customer, trading name, creditor, trading name, and company details, trading name. But again, when you're running statements or invoices or shipments, you'll need to get the documents updated to utilize those new fields. A little banking improvement. So in the cashbook module, you've got, when you're importing your statements, you've got banking rules to automatically create AR receipts, AP payments, or CB transactions. They've just added a feature from the customer where you can quickly add and edit and update rules. Let us know if you need us to dive a little bit more deeper into the rules, because it is quite a handy feature just to speed up your bank reconciliation by using the banking rules. Okay, we have one of the items is with these statements running. If you've made a mistake in your statements and you reverse the transactions back out, it's not nice having a positive figure and then a negative figure and then a positive figure of the same figure when you've kind of fixed it in and out. So what they've added is under the transactions, a way to hide those transactions. So let's say this invoice here is a mistake invoice that I've made. I didn't want to put it onto the wrong customer, so I don't even want to even show it. So if I go and credit that, just making sure I've got the same date, and then I'm just going to post the credit. And the one point here is don't allocate it via the normal allocation method. So now if I go back to the customer, I've got the in and the out. It's currently unallocated. If we could then go into the customer record and go high transactions, and yes, it was for September. So September, we can go edit and we can push up those 2 transactions and save that. And what it does, it's automatically hidden it for me. There should be show inactive transactions. So it's flagged the transactions as hidden here. So that means when you go to run your statements, that invoice and credit doesn't show on the statement, so that no one sees the mistake of making the wrong transaction. So that's the important part, is make sure it's unallocated and then do the high transaction, make sure you got it in the right period. One of the other things to note as well, to break the allocation, you will not be able to, so here's the hidden transaction here, you'll not be able to use the normal unallocate transaction function. If I just drill down to the transaction, you can't unallocate them from here. You have to go back into the high transaction function. So task, accounts receivable, high transaction, and then untick the unhide feature here, edit, and then push them back down and save. No, I didn't save that. I thought it's still hidden. Okay, when you're doing shipments, oops, I wanted to do a shipment. So at the moment, this is in multiply cost mode. So that's where you can go change the quantity and it pushes out the extended cost. If I change this to divide mode, you can then go and say, well, it was 21 cents because of, in the more probably the inclusive field, if we had GST. It will back calculate the GST correctly and back calculate the unit cost from changing the exclusive cost field. That's a feature that's currently existing. What they have done is, no, it wasn't that. Was it? Sorry, let me just double check. No, sorry, I was wrong feature I was going after. But what I was about to say was that you can change that on the creditor. Sorry, the feature that they've done is when you're raising purchase orders on the creditor, you can change the way that the price is pulled. And I've lost myself. That's a customer. Hold on. Sorry. To set the multiplier cost, sorry, that was the thing. What I was actually meant to be going after is when you're raising a purchase order. Wrong feature. Okay. So when you're raising a purchase order, there is a default price on here. Now, by default, where that pulls from is usually in version 7 under the AP settings. You can set whether it comes from supplier cost or standard supplier cost. So that's like latest cost versus a standard cost on there. So if we go onto the products, I'll just show you where that's pulling from. In the supplemental tab, you've got here, you'll have, if I'm with a creditor, here we go, here's one. You've got supplier cost, which is the effectively latest cost, and then supplier standard cost, which is only changes when a user changes it. So that used to pull from the settings, but what they've done is they've moved it on the creditor, so you can change it. Say this creditor always uses latest cost, or this creditor uses the standard cost. So just gives you options there. Now, cash book. Just a slight little improvement here is when you open, this may be whether you're opening in here for the master records, or more than likely when you're doing a bank reconciliation, by default it will just pick the first bank account. What you can do is under your cash book settings, you can set a default bank account. And so that when you go in to open the bank reconciliation, instead of opening the first record, it will open that default. It does. Reconciliation seems it's opened up the Aussie account opposed to opening the first one, which is what it did in version 7. All right, inventory. One item to quickly point out, because you've noticed I've customized my grid. If you want to customize your drop down, you can just simply right click and go customize, and you can turn on other fields. So I've just turned on the base UOM and sales UOM, and this has been a feature for a very long time. Just so you know why it's different. Okay. Now, what they have had for sites that are using units to measure, when you look at your quantity tab, quite often you'll be defaulted to the base unit of measure, and you go, oh, I actually want to always see it in the sales unit measure or the purchasing units measure. Under your user settings, under preferences, they've added the UOM default for you. So if I've set this one to sales units measure, so that when I go and select a product with a different unit of measure to the base unit of measure, it defaults to that unit of measure opposed to base, which means these quantities are automatically in box. Now, another nice little feature here is, I'm just going to bring it. In version 7 and before, when they brought out units of measure, you couldn't have a unit of measure be a base and another unit of measure. So what we ended up happening on sites is we had carton be a base, but then they wanted to use it as other unit of measure. So you ended up having to go carton dot, which made it look not nice. So what they've done is they've actually tidied that up so you can then have a carton be an other and also be a base at the same time. If we go into energy control unit measure, so to set one of those ones up, what you've got to have is no multiplier, and then also tick the base here so that you're flagging that this can be a base, but also it can be another multiplier with a variable multiplier set against it. And then it means it can be used in both areas. Manufacturing. A few little things here. They've added a setting for manufacturing where if you've got a company that you don't do manufacturing in, you can turn it off, which then just hides the manufacturing. So that means that if you turn it off for a company, you will not have the enter manufacturing batches options. It's just easy if you want to stop people using it in certain companies. Where do you set the sales default unit measure? Just a unit of measure question there on the default sales. So you've set up your unit of measure here. There is a default sales unit of measure down here, default purchasing unit of measure, which actually brings me on to the next point is manufacturing. They've added a manufacturing unit of measure down here. So we can then change it so that when we go and do a manufacture batch, that is defaulting to that new unit of measure of carton. I don't think that should be read-only. I'll have to go and double check on that. But this new unit measure just defaults that for you when you do a manufacture. Similar to how the other two worked with the sales, defaulted the invoicing one, and purchases defaulted the when you're raising a purchase order or shipment. So version 7, they added to most documents where you can see, let me just find when it's printed. When something's printed, you got a print history button here. To IC transfers, they've added the same thing, so you can see the print history over here, just to match all the other documents. You can see that I printed this document 2 times yesterday, and then if I go and print it and send it to disk file, you can see now that yesterday I printed it to screen, and today that I printed it to disk file, and it says the time and the user that it printed it. Okay. On the invoicing side, you've got shipper code down over here. That shipper code here, if you got a invoice with only one shipper, then it will show here. But if you've got one, for this example here, I've got here where it's got two shippers, two different shipping companies we're using, it won't show it there. It just brings it through, so that means then you can start using that on the as your filters. So we can go shipper code equals. I just deleted it. Sorry. Shipper code equals DHL and just filters it. Again, you can use the new nice little add to filter right click option that they've added. Now, when you're raising an invoice to a customer, it does a check to see if the order number has been used beforehand. What they've done is they've extended that check to work against job costing as well, so that if there's an order number on a job, it will flag it for you. Just to point out, just in case this does cause issues, there is a invoice setting for this order number check here, whether it's all required or none. I think that's basically going warning versus check. Just double check. Yeah. Or hint required warning. That also as well with job costing, the order number has been brought through onto the grid as well. So that's a selectable and filterable option on your grid as well. You can see the order numbers there, and you can also filter on it again if you need to. Auto select. Obviously, auto select needs to be on for the filters to work. Okay, purchase ordering. They've added a check if you're trying to raise a purchase order and it is $0, they won't allow you to save that. Now, when we convert sites, so if I have to zero that out, this is on by default, so you cannot save a zero purchase order. What you need to do if you do use zero purchase orders, which I know a few companies do actually allow that, you'll need to go into your purchase order settings and turn on allow zero value purchase orders. So it's just something to watch out for when you get onto version 8, you might have people complaining going, can't save my purchase orders. So purchase orders, settings, and there's a checkbox for it now to allow that. In version 7, you could save zero purchase orders. Just version 8, they've come out with a method to block it, and the block will be on by default. Purchase orders, we have, so with the purchase ordering module, you can set authorization codes that they can't save or print the purchase order without an authorization code, which it can be password protected, and you can also do limits to that. So you can say this authorization code can order up to $500. This other person can authorize up to $1,000. So that's been there for a while. What they've just done is from the purchase order list, they've just brought through the drop down so you can filter on who's authorized which purchase order. All right, this is a little feature that I quite like is when you're doing analysis, well, any report actually, analyzing reports are quite a good example where you've got, hey, I've got this report that I want to see details. So I've got the customer with the product details underneath, but then I want to actually go and say, hey, I just want to see the customer details without the product information around. You have the totals only field. Now that was previously in the system, but it was always hidden under the preferences. They've just brought it through to here so that you can then run it, and it just shows you the totals. And then you go, hey, I want the details, untick it, rerun it. So I'm just using this little button to go back quickly. So that's on any report. So for instance, if I run age 12 balance, actually I'll just quickly change the layout. I'm gonna, I already got a grouping on here, so custom grouping. So I can run that out. I can see grouping 00 and then another grouping down here with all the customers under it. And if I want to go back and go totals only, and then I can see my totals per the grouping. All right. In version 7, they added, when you're printing an invoice, they added a new HTML option under the email. So you can just email out an HTML document. Oh, I haven't got one selected, sorry. Which comes up with a HTML formatted, so it's similar to some other accounting softwares do this, where they don't send the PDF out, they just send out an HTML view of it. What they've done in this version is, let's go mail message again. Now it's defaulted. Oh, has it? They've added so you can do a PDF and HTML at the same time. So that means you've got an HTML message here, and then you've got the attached PDF, which I opened up on my other screen. That will also work when you're doing bulk runs. See, when you're emailing invoices, you can choose to do PDF and HTML as well. Just to point out with this as well, there's a whole designer behind it. It is a little bit fiddly, so you know, some of our staff here have worked with it quite a bit to get quite nice designs. So if you need help with that, just let us know. Okay. The point with emails, this is not in relation to version 8, it's more about what Microsoft's doing. If you guys use your emails through a Microsoft Office 365 domain, Microsoft are changing the ways you can integrate it with it. They're effectively dropping SMTP connections. So if you are on a Microsoft Office 365 domain, you do need to switch over to the new OAuth method that's been implemented in Accredo version 7 and beyond. So that's something just to make sure, maybe check with your IT person and then come back to us if you need help setting, if you've got a Microsoft Office 365 domain, for your emails and you need Accredo connected to it, yeah, it's important that you do probably make the switch. I think it's July they're going to turn off the old method, so you do need to move over to the new method. Anyway, relation to the next enhancement, one of the things with the, if you set up within Microsoft Office 365 domain, is when you go mail message, now I don't have it set up on this machine, but it would pop out to your web browser Office 365 email, and then you'd have to click edit and then go send. They've added a checkbox here so that if you don't want to go and have to open it up, go edit and then go send, you can just uncheck that and it'll automatically just send the email off straight away. reminders. I'll just quickly create one. Okay, so reminders, they've added a function that you can set up reminders so that it recurs every days, weeks, or month. So if you've got any record that you want it to pop up every week or every month, so you can go, hey, I need to go and chase up this client or follow up this person because they haven't paid their invoice, you can set up this little reminder here with reoccurring. It allows for a little bit of offsets and end dates there as well. It's going to take a couple of minutes before that one appears. With the reminders, when they pop up, there is some new reminder function that when the reminder appears, you can choose whether it's making the reminder just simply inactive or also converting it to a memo. So under your user preferences, you've got a default method where you want to make the reminder just inactive or to memo. And shortly, when the memo pops open, the reminder pops open shortly, we'll be able to see where we can change that. So okay, while we'll wait for that to repair. Credo in the back end have made some more security improvements. So just they've encrypted the data a bit more better. It does mean, like for instance, if any sites had been ransomed, the ransomware virus, that your data is protected if they've got hold of your data. Under the old method, they could possibly pull out information. So with the new encryption that they've put onto it, it's making it a lot more harder for them to get the information out of the database. It does mean backups are a little bit bigger and take a little bit more time. Another change they've also done as well, now it's off by default, but if you want to enable it, you can do multi-factor authentication. You got the reset OTP over here. So that's where you can, when a user signs in, they then have to open up their Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator and type in the same two-factor code that's on your phone and pop it into Credo. So it's just options to protect the database a bit more as well. I'm only very glossing over these features. We'll probably put out another video on security because it's a bit of a deep one to go into to cover over here as well. All right. For some reason that hasn't popped up yet. Moving on, hopefully it will pop up here soon. The mobile app, so this is just a Android device that I've connected to, like a phone. They've updated the sales rep app and the stock take app. So sales rep app allows you to update customers on the road, raise orders, edit orders, insert quotes, creates credits. This all comes down to what the user permission is for the user inside of Credo. So they've just obviously updated this for the newer version. Obviously you can see stock between the locations as well. And then the Credo stock take app, this allows you to do stock takes from the mobile phone or tablet. It also has the bin movements as well if you've got stock by bin. Actually, good point. Sorry, I'm just going to go and change this time. So it needs to be didn't have the right action on time. Sorry. Yeah, so they've updated these two apps. Credo licensing. So if you wanted a module or a user, you had to pay money up front and then you got the monthly fee. They do have a subscription model now as well. So instead of having to pay a chunk up front and then monthly, you just pay a monthly fee. And then if you decide to want to stop paying for additional user, you can turn that user off pretty easily. But this is quite handy for sites where they go, hey, we've got a period where it's really busy, so we want to grab 4 extra users for that time period and then stop paying for them afterwards. So a creator can then increase your user cap for that period and then drop it back down. It's just a cheaper way of paying for it. I think for users, we did run some figures on it. If you're going to have the users for more than 2 years, it may be better to buy them up front. But it just gives you the option to go, hey, I just want to slightly increase my users for a shorter period. You can do that. All right, reminders finally popped up. So this here gives you the option to, when you dismiss it, whether you're going to make it inactive, so it flags the reminder as active, or if you want to convert it to a memo, there's a different option here. You can dismiss it. All right. Let me just grab this. I'll just bring it across. This is our new website that we've just built. Under here, we've got the latest creative features. So this is kind of just doing a summary of it. Down the bottom down here, we've got a link to the PDF, which has, it's going to open soon. There we go. It's just got the detailed notes on the updates. So there's a few things that I have not covered off because some of it's more background stuff, but worthwhile read to catch up on all the different changes in there. We do also have a few other features that we've put into here as well. So we're working on things as well, other than the Credo, like CRM engagement. Doing a few things with social media. We integrate with a few other products as well. Another one is data capture. That's been quite a popular one as well. We've done a few things with purchase order reordering, where we can predict the quantity that you want to have in stock and produce that. Another one that we have done is with invoices not being paid, we've done some sort of SMS reminders that when invoices overdue, we can send out SMSs to the customers and then automatically put them on stock credit as well. That is, we will try and send out a survey just to, after this is finished, just to probably next week. We will ask a few questions about this, so if you can please give us a bit of feedback on that as well, and additional topics, that would be good. But yeah, that's pretty much the changes there for version 8, and we'll slowly start scheduling out sites that will want to go ahead with getting that done. We'll probably do a few smaller ones first, and then we'll start rolling on to the bigger sites. Yeah, contact us if you've got any questions, and that's it. Thank you for coming.